John Solomon, welcome as always to Live from Studio 6B. In a situation that clearly this has have to have been planned for, what would you say, a month, 4, 6 weeks?
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, some of these decisions tend to be a little more happen chance in the FBI. I mean, clearly they've had inklings about going and getting evidence from President Trump. They've telegraphed that. The Democrats have telegraphed that. A raid like this could go on. It could be really planned in 5 or 10 days. It would have to go to the top of the Justice Department. This is a special circumstances raid, meaning there's a politically sensitive individual. Almost certainly Merrick Garland and Chris Wray are in the know. President Biden may or may not be in the know. They may not have brought him in because of the appearance issues. But, you know, at least Chris Wray and the Attorney General would have to be in the know. Certainly a few days in the making. It doesn't necessarily have to be weeks, but the predicate for this has been laid for weeks. The orchestrated televised hearings by the Democrats in a one-sided show was designed to soften up the American public to this potential, this prospect. And we're in an unprecedented moment in American history. To say this is a crisis is to be, I think, not an understatement in this moment. We're looking at the former president using the power of the FBI, or his administration using the power of the FBI, to go after his likely 2024 rival. By the way, the very thing Democrats accused Donald Trump of doing when he had that conversation with the Ukraine president in 2019. They have now upped the ante by actually using our FBI to do this. And whatever the reasons are, we won't know for days, but we'll have to find out the facts. But a critical moment in American history, not one that we're going to forget very soon.
I mean, you think about Merrick Garland, the interview he did on NBC with Lester Holt. You think about the FBI director the other day answering absolutely no questions. I mean, I'm usually not the cynical one, but if you ask me, this has to have been planned. This seems absolutely coordinated. This is no coincidence. This seems like a strike at the heart of our democracy. This is clearly an attempt to intervene into the midterm elections, if you ask me. I mean, so what is the information you have so far on the ground? It has to be an enormous amount of FBI agents.
Yeah, there's a large number. I'm told a couple dozen is what we're hearing. I'm still working to get that confirmed, but the early reports are a couple dozen. Most of the president's evidence would be in his office, which is a rather small office. The safe is in that office. We have not confirmed whether they've gone into the residence part, meaning the personal residence part. But we will find out in a few days. There's a thing called search warrant returns that will let us know what it is that the FBI sought and what reason they had for doing this. And that'll give us our first inkling of what's going on. But let's think about this. I just said this to Gina a little bit ago. It was exactly 1 week ago today that Senator Chuck Grassley made these extraordinary revelations that there were FBI whistleblowers who had come forward and alleged that the FBI was opening up an investigation on Donald Trump without a proper predicate and closing down an investigation of Hunter Biden by falsely claiming legitimate evidence was disinformation. That level of politicalization, we're still absorbing the magnitude of those allegations and the fact that they came from internal FBI agents. And this FBI goes out and raids the President Trump. After the allegation, they already opened up one investigation on him improperly, and we now know they also opened up an investigation improperly on him involving Russia collusion, that the warrants to the FISA court were false and misleading. So the FBI only plays into the idea that it has become a banana republic force, a political weapon, even if there are legitimate concerns about it. And there are legitimate evidentiary reasons to do this. The optics are not going to alleviate the problem that the FBI has, and it's now a political banana Republican arm. And I don't know how we're going to get over that. It's a very important moment in history for us to step back, grasp what's going on. Let's get some facts. We have very few facts right now. But this is a moment that's going to long live in memory.
I'll tell you the facts we do have. The FBI never raided the Clintons. The FBI never raided the Bidens. The FBI never held anybody for Russia collusion accountable. We know a lot of facts about the FBI. And you've been around this a long time, John. Are you telling me that they could not have subpoenaed the documents they want? They could not have reached out to the president's attorneys and said these subpoenas are coming and arrange whatever they had to arrange. They had to go in there like the Gestapo today. I know you said you're going to find out what the warrant, what it was they're after, but what could it possibly be that call for this?
Listen, a lot of lawyers I've talked to in the last 30 minutes, including many who are Democrats, liberals, may have even voted for Joe Biden, are calling this moment reckless, unnecessary, a political show of force, not necessary. There's three things to think about. First off, all the documents about January 6th are going to be in the National Archives. There's no reason they couldn't get those from the archives. Secondly, the President of the United States has a lawyer. There's a history of negotiating with the president. We did so with Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. So the former presidents usually comply with the law. That should have been the first opportunity here to take a look at this. And the third thing is, in the light of the fact that there are just current concerns about the FBI, the fact that those weren't taken into consideration here, I think is going to stoke a lot of public anger, and the FBI is going to be facing a lot of questions why they didn't handle this another way. But they did this with Roger Stone. They did it with Paul Manafort. They did it with Rudy Giuliani. Think about what we learned last week. Rudy Giuliani got all of his computers returned. You know why? That whole allegation about him in Russia, they're not interested anymore. Sometimes the raid is the show. Sometimes the raid is the political impact some people are trying to create. And it's going to take us some time to find out what motivated this and whether it's justified. But it is clearly a moment that a lot of Americans are going to be upset about, and they're going to be demanding answers.